All right, I think we're live now. The Hangout is on the air. Hello, my friends. This is John Gallagher.
Oh,
And hello. Let me get rid of that now. Hello, everybody. This is John, and we're hanging out today with Sherry, Sean, and Jeff. And we're talking some EVs and some electric vehicles. And how about we start with Sherry first? Sherry, you started telling us what you have, what you drive, how long you've been involved with this. Can you tell us that again?
Sure, yeah. Well, I was born in Oklahoma, but I now live in San Francisco. And in 1997, we put solar panels on our house in the foggy part of San Francisco. And then we decided, well, we should get an electric car. So in 2002, we first leased an electric car. We've been through several since then, and I currently drive a Nissan Leaf. Um, I drove a Toyota RAV4 EV, the earlier version, not the current version, for 5 or 6 years. I've driven a conversion, a car that was converted from gas to electric for a couple of years. Um, I wrote the book Plug-in Hybrids, the Cars That Will Recharge America. If any of you have seen the movie Who Killed the Electric Car, my book is sort of the sequel to that. And I helped co-found the nonprofit group Plug-in America, which is EV drivers. So that's me.
Cool. And how about you, Jeff? Why don't you tell us what you're about? And
I have none of those credentials. I just drive an electric car.
Yay!
That's it.
you
That's the
know,
whole story.
What do you
I
drive?
I drive a Volt.
Great.
I like
Drive-
that. I like that, Jeff, because that gives a different perspective. Now, like for myself, I drive a 1994 Chevy S10, and it's not electric. And I work in the oil field, so you know, I'm a little slow coming to this game, Sherry. You've been involved in it with a long time, and it's real simple what changed my point of view, and that was revenge of the electric car, and the fact that people were driving electric vehicles and plugging in, with their solar panels. They were driving these cars on the sun, and that's like, wow, that's the future. And we have Sean here. That's my son. What do you drive, Sean? What kind of electric vehicle you drive?
I drive a gas powered premium 2014 Scion sports car. So you know I'm young though. I'm allowed to go.
That's right.
So, Sherry, one thing that I want to ask you, that since you've been involved in this in a long time, what's the difference between way back then and now? Do you feel like you're finally getting there? Are you surprised that it's taken so long? Is it a little frustrating? Because I see where I'm at here in oilfield country in Oklahoma that people are still in the dark. They're still surprised of something that runs on electricity.
Yeah. It's a little bit of all of that. I am really encouraged at how plug-in cars are taking off now that they're finally available. Um, they could be taking off in an even bigger way if the car companies were really behind this, but they've been dragging their feet every step of the way. And they still are for the most part, without getting, without starting a rant on all of that. I mean, that is the frustrating part because really the cars are mostly available in states that follow California's clean air laws. The California Air Resources Board basically
Are
told the car companies you have to start selling cleaner cars, this many by this year, and they delayed it for a while. But that's why they started, almost all the car companies now have a plug-in car here. There's 10 or 13 states around the country that also follow that. Once California did, they were allowed to. That's why those states have these cars for the most part. Um, so that's why they're not available everywhere. So, I mean, I can talk a lot about the history. I'm glad you saw Revenge of the Electric Car. If you haven't seen Who Killed the Electric Car, it's way fun. It's a much better movie than Revenge of the Electric Car.
no, no, no.
Oh, it's a good one. But I'm more interested in you guys who aren't driving it, like, what main questions do you have? Because Jeff and I could answer questions. Uh, I mean, one of my frustrations is that there is no good electric truck available now. And it's not even a really good plug-in crossover SUV. You know, I drove the Toyota RAV4 for 5 years. It was a great compact SUV. I love that car. But they haven't been offering those yet. And that goes back to the politics of the car companies not really wanting to change. Anyway.
You want to know one of my favorites? Here, I have a picture of it.
Uh-huh.
Yay! Volvo XC90. Okay, they got a supercharged engine. You know, it's a four-cylinder. It's a small engine. And then they have electric motors runs the real wheels. Now, I'm sure for a lot of people it's not pure electric, and you know, and they don't like that so much. But for me, this thing could sell here in the oil field country. That could sell in the Midwest. And my son Sean, he would like to have that right there.
Yeah, and that's why when I wrote my book, even though I've always driven all electrics, I wrote the book as plug-in hybrids, the cars that will recharge America, because I think most of America is going to be most comfortable starting off with a car that has some electric but can go on a gas engine if you need to drive across country to visit grandma, you know. But so far we've only got the Volt to any big numbers, and then the Ford C-Max Energy and a few others, some really expensive ones. So I am a little surprised that the plug-in hybrids haven't taken off more, that the car companies haven't been willing to offer them more, basically.
You know what? I think. One second, Jeff, if you don't mind. I think I know the secret though with that they are going to take off, and the reason is because Volvo is into it, Porsche is into it, Mercedes-Benz are into the plug-in hybrids, and they're not BMW.
Making them now too.
Right, with the i8. They're not making them because, you know, they want to go green. They're making them because it's better. You know, it's the new technology.
A little of both. No, a little of both, because the European countries have their own clean air laws too. And if you notice, like in Plug-in America, we have a name for car companies, and we call them compliance cars. Whoops, did we lose you or lose me?
No, you're still there.
I'm still there. Okay. If you look at any companies besides Nissan, Tesla, and GM with the Volt, all the rest of them are only making them in quantities that they have to comply with CARB. They're compliance cars. And so I don't care how cool and great they are, until they make more than that, they're only doing what they have to.
Right. I'm just saying that I think that just like with any new technology, it's the more expensive, fancier cars that have it first, and it will trickle down, you know, and they will make more of them. To me, it's like the smartphone. It's the new cool thing, and everybody's gonna want one. And Jeff, let's get to you with the Volt. We've mentioned Volt a few times. When and why, you know, did you buy the Volt? And I got something I need to confess after you tell me about your purchase of the Volt.
Why after?
Okay, if you want, well, because I've been taking up all the time. I was kind of against the Volt when it first came out.
Why?
Part of it was, well, I'll make a long story short. I was listening to Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, and
that's why.
No, it was a lot of it was the press. You know, they made it sound like this Volt was going to save GM, and it was, you know, the next coming. And then it comes out, and it's relatively small, relatively expensive to, you know, to my knowledge. But the truth of the matter is, it's not that expensive. I just didn't realize how expensive new cars were. I drive used cars. You know, I haven't gone to, you know, the car dealership to you know, check out the price of a car. So, and that was the time of Solyndra, and I just thought they were kind of pushing it on us. And I've tweeted out and I've said I was wrong about the Volt. I mean, the Volt, not only is it an awesome car that has a lot of things right, but Honda still hasn't caught up, Toyota still hasn't caught up. You know, a lot of the other car companies have not caught up. And the truth, I think is that the new model, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be so freaking popular, and people are going to love it. And one of the ways, why I think this is, Chevy put out an ad with the Volt. I don't know if you saw it, and it's just the Volt driving down the road. It's nothing, EV about it. Hey, we got David, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. You're from
Malnuni?
Yeah, Moinuddin, right, yeah.
Munadin,
Yeah, I'm from Bangladesh, yeah.
Bangladesh.
I just
Hello.
woke up, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, we got Bangladesh in the house. So Jeff,
So I have a Volt. I'm not an environmentalist much. I don't really fit what normal profiles would be of a guy who owns an electric car. But I am a bit of a techie geek, and waited for this car to come out for a long time. I have my beautiful bride, but my beautiful bride's best friend is a mid-40s single woman, extremely successful lawyer, partner in her big firm, no husband, no kids. I call her my other wife, only because when the water heater breaks at 2 in the morning, I'm the one she calls. But she wanted a Volt when they first came out, and she took delivery of one of the very first Volts that was delivered in the Midwest in 2011. And I helped her with all the research in buying that car, and have been in love with it ever since. We only buy a new car in our house every 5 years. I get a new one, and then 5 years later, my wife gets a new one. We drive our cars for 10 years. So my car is on its second year. My wife is 3 years away from getting her new car, and I am 8 years away from getting my new car. And I went out to buy, when I bought mine, it was
Hold
what
on,
I had
hold
been
on.
trying to buy.
Hey, Jeff,
Go
let
ahead.
me interrupt you real quick. Hey, David, are you doing something?
Eating.
Mute your mic, please. You're making a lot of noise. All right, go ahead, Jeff.
So anyway, I just tried to buy the best car that I could for the money that I had, which was $30,000. Most cars new cost $30,000, and the Volt was it. I have to drive a lot. I drive about 20,000 miles a year, and I can't get by on an all-electric just because I drive too far. If I am in one place and I have to be in another place, I got to be able to go without thinking about whether or not I can recharge. So I'm nowhere near being able to get off of liquid fuel. But about 80% of my driving is done on electric. Only 20% of my miles, in 36,000 miles, only 20% of my miles are with the generator running. So the car is perfect for me. Love it a lot. Love it a lot. If I totaled it today, I'd go out and buy another one. No way in the world would I ever go back to driving an old 20th century standard internal combustion engine car. No way. So that's kind of my story, and I'm a vocal local advocate of electrifying personal transportation. Not because I'm green, but I'm really, really sick of fighting oil wars.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned at all about the emissions. Not that I don't like that I don't have as many, but there's a lot of questions about displacing the emissions from one place to the next. But the grid is going to get cleaner, and the tailpipes won't. Blah blah blah. I don't really get into that. All I care about is I'm in the Midwest, so I'm powered mostly by coal. And if you go to the coal fields in Pennsylvania, where our coal comes from, and you count the soldiers, there's just not very many. Whereas if you go to the oil fields that control the world oil prices, there's a lot. And soldiers are expensive, oil wars are expensive, they're pointless, people die. The technology is in place that we don't have to burn oil like we've been burning if we would just electrify personal transportation. And that's my advocacy.
I agree with the the part of we don't want to buy.
Sorry about that.
That was loud. That was Sherry. We don't want to buy.
Sorry, hang on. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we don't want to buy
Hello?
oil from people that don't like us.
Hello?
And there's a big part of freedom on that. They didn't even want to talk to you, Sherry?
You know, it's always the telemarketers about this time of night. Is it Jeff, is that your name with the Volt?
Yep.
Other than the oil warts, what do you like about the Volt?
An electric motor is so far superior to an internal combustion engine as a means of propelling a car down the road. It's frightening. A standard car has about 1,200 moving parts in its engine and about another 400 moving parts in its transmission. I have 2. I have a couple of clutches, and then I've got a stator, and I've got a rotor that spins around it. Yeah, I've got a generator that sits there and doesn't do very much, so there's an internal combustion engine there, but my primary drive motor is a rotor and a stator. It is crazy that we haven't thought of this before. Diesel locomotives have been doing electric drive forever. The main reason that diesel locomotives do electric drive is an electric motor is about 80% efficient at turning energy into motive force. And a gasoline engine is about 18% efficient at turning energy into motive force. So for every 80 cents worth of, for every dollar I spend worth of electricity, I can go forward 80 cents. For every dollar somebody else spends on gasoline, they can move forward 18 cents. They lose so much to heat and wasted motion. The car is quiet, there's no transmission, there's no shifting, there's no noise, there's no buzzing, there's no exhaust, there's no warming up, there's no cooling down. It's just sit down, push the button, drive, push the button, stop. Sit down, push the button, drive, push the button, stop. The wear on the systems is phenomenally low. One of the reasons that auto dealers hate this car is because there's no service. They hate the idea that their model, where they make all of their money on service, is gone. If the electric car takes hold, they're screwed. It's that simple. There's a whole bunch of ASE certified mechanics that in 20 years will be sitting around going like this, looking at their tool collection saying, what the hell did I just do? What happened? What happened? I've had my oil changed once in 36,000 miles, because only 20% of my miles are with the gas generator running. So I have oil, but I have to change it every 2 years, just cause. I don't have to worry about belts. I don't have to worry about timing chains. I don't have to worry about spark plugs. I don't have to worry about my exhaust. There is a huge long list of parts that I don't have to replace on my car. And when I get in, it's quiet, it's silent. The only thing I hear is the tires on the road.
Yeah.
That's it.
And for me, driving all electric, in 8 years, I rotated my tires. And,
Oh yeah, I did that too.
And I think I maybe replaced the windshield washer fluid. I mean, that was it.
How about some basic questions like how you plug it in? What kind of plug? Do you need a special outlet? Those type of questions.
You don't need a special outlet. Any plug in America, just about, is a refueling station. Any outlet is a refueling station. Both the Leaf and the Volt can charge with an amperage draw that is within household current. If you want to, you can put in a 220 system. With a 220 system, you charge about 3 times faster than with a 110 system. But there are lots and lots of people who never consider it worth it. I would say more than half of the people never consider it worth it to put the 220 system in. I did.
I think that's more true of plug-in hybrids like the Volt than of all electric. All electric people do tend to get the 240 volt, but yeah, that's very true of the Volt.
Yeah. So I put in the bigger charging system in my garage, and it was I think it was about $800 all total, and that included the wiring. I considered that an improvement to my house, not an improvement to my car.
Right.
that didn't fall into the category of something I bought for my car. It was something I bought for my house.
And if I can build on what Jeff has said too, you know, 99% of your charging for most people is going to be done at home. You come home, you plug it in, it charges while you sleep. You never think about it. You never have to, like, you rarely go to a gas station even with a Volt.
Well, that's not true. I have to go again soon. And by soon, I'm thinking probably like July.
And that's, yeah, you said
If I don't,
a lot, yeah.
yeah, I think that it may even be June. That yeah. So it's coming up.
But other than at home, there are more and more chargers out in the world. Now, again, like he said, an electrical outlet anywhere is your charger. I've stayed at hotels where I run an extension cord out the window. There's usually an outlet next to vending machines at gas stations. In garages, there's often an outlet. They're everywhere once you start looking for them. But more and more companies and states and governments are putting in what's called, I mean, a regular outlet is called level 1. The 240 volt outlet that Jeff just described is like a dryer plug outlet with a EVSE, a box attached to it. That's level 2. And more of those are being put in all over the place. There's also, coming more and more, what's then called fast chargers, and they're putting those in mostly along freeways. And some cars, mostly the all-electrics, have fast charge ports. The plug-in hybrids like the Volt don't need them because they have the gas as a backup. But if I'm driving from here to LA, which I don't do, by the way, but if I wanted to, I stop at a fast charger and it charges me to 80% in about 25 minutes. Whereas with a level 2, it would take me 4 to 5 hours because my car is all electric and has a lot more batteries. So, you know, if I was going to charge on a level 1 regular outlet, it would probably take me about 24 hours. And so I plug in overnight on my level 2. It's full when I wake up in the morning. If I travel long distance, I might stop at a fast charger. There are some apps for your smartphones that will show you where all the chargers are, so they're easy to locate. And it can show if there's some around you. Maybe while we're on and someone else is talking, I'll look on an app and see what's near. I don't know, what city in Oklahoma are you in? I'll look in there. Oklahoma City?
No, I'm in Elk City.
Elk City, okay.
Which is in oil field country. It's in the west. I think Tesla's putting something in Woodward, or not Woodward. I forgot the name of the town. So you drive Sherry, you drive a Nissan Leaf. How do you like that? I've noticed on the Volt pages on Facebook and stuff, there's quite a few people that are turning in their Leaf and getting a Volt. You know, that's probably just because of their type of driving. So does the all-electric Leaf work for you? And I've only seen 2 electric vehicles in my life, and I've never seen one driving down the road in western Oklahoma. Never.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in your territory where you guys probably drive much longer distances than those of us who live in cities, you know, a Volt or similar car probably makes a lot more sense. All electric works for me. I mean, I work at home. I live in a city with great public transit. My Leaf is a great regional car. I can go from here to the furthermost northern city in the Bay Area, and which would be Santa Rosa. I can go down to San Jose, the farthest in the south. I can go to Sacramento in the east, easily on one charge. And then while I'm there doing whatever I'm doing, I'm charging, so I have the juice to get home. So it works for me, and I knew it would. We also in the city have something called City Car Share. So instead of owning a second car, if I need a gas car, which maybe once, maybe twice a year I do, I rent a car or I get it through City Car Share. And with all the money I'm saving not buying gasoline, it's no big deal, right, to rent a car.
Yeah.
So that it works for me, but I totally get why. I mean, the most important thing I think in considering getting a plug-in car is to figure out what works for you. How many miles do you drive? How often? Like, do you take long trips on a regular basis? You're not going to want all electric until 2017-ish, when Tesla and supposedly GM will be coming out with their 200-plus mile electric cars. Now we'll see. That's a ways off, and that's the end of 2017. And It's a lot of ifs. But right now, your plug-in hybrids are your best bet. And just to mention a resource, because I don't know if you all are aware of it, but pluginamerica.org has a page that lists all of the plug-in cars, two-wheel motorcycles, four-wheels, trucks, buses, and so you can look and see what's available, what's out there, what kind of range does it have, what does it cost, is it available now, or are they just saying it's coming, So that's a good resource.
There's just as many people that are turning in their Volts for Leafs as there are people who are turning in their Leafs for Volts, too. They serve two different purposes. There's a lot of people who buy a Volt and then realize this was just stupid. Why am I lugging around this gas engine and costing all of this range? Because the gas engine's heavy. It costs money to drive this thing around all the time. And they never dip into gas. They never dip into gas. I laugh out loud at people on the Facebook page who are concerned about the Volt has this function called engine run due to temperature. When it gets below 15 degrees, the Volt runs its gas engine for heat in order to protect itself. Mm-hmm. Part of its thermal management system to make the batteries last longer. And there's people that just are fuming that they burn 1/1700ths of a gallon of gasoline during engine run due to temperature. While the car was protecting itself in this ultra cold snap. And the answer for all those people is just buy a Leaf. Why are you, instead of worrying about that 1/1700ths of a gallon, why are you even dragging around a gas engine? Just take the car back and buy a Leaf. Now, then there's the Leaf owners who find themselves more often than they wish having to drive farther than what the Leaf can go, not having the time to recharge it, and from an electric vehicle standpoint, the Volt fits their bill perfectly. I find myself having to go north 80 miles and then have a client of mine call me who's 200 miles away and say, all hell broke loose, get here, and I got to get in my car and I got to drive. I can't concern myself with how much battery do I have. And the Volt travels just like any other car. It's fabulous for me because of how I move about the Midwest. So it's not Volt for Leaf or Leaf for Volt. They serve two different people, and a lot of times people don't get it right which one was the right car for them when they first get into the electric car scene.
And the other thing is, a lot of families that are true car families will get one of each, because the electric car tends to be the, I'm going to take the kids to soccer, I'm going to drive them to school, I'm going to go get groceries, I'm going to do all that local driving, but then you have a Volt or something if you need to go long distance. And it, too, will be mostly electric.
We have two cars in our family. One is a Volt and the other one is an Excursion.
Uh-huh. And if they made something the size of an Excursion that was a plug-in hybrid, you'd have an option, right?
Yeah, well,
Volvo.
With what the car has to do, with what that truck has to do, I don't think I'll not have a gas or a diesel vehicle. It just we tow, and we have to tow something very heavy. So for us that's what works. It's yin and yang. You look in our garage and it's kind of funny. It's just really that's what's in your garage.
Well, there is a company called VIA Motors, VIA, that what's his name from GM who used to be
Bob Lutz.
Yeah, Bob Lutz is working with VIA Motors, and they're coming out with the big vehicles like that, but they're not all that affordable yet, is my understanding, and they're not really available.
Wow.
So, hey, I just looked on the app, the PlugShare app, and there is a sleep-in hotel that has a plug where you can charge overnight if you want to. In Woodward, there's a Hang 'em High car wash. And south of you is a 287 safety rest area that has a wall plug you can plug into. And then there's a whole bunch more in Oklahoma, but that looks to be the closest to Elk City.
Cool. Jeff, I wanted to ask
So what
you,
other questions have you got?
I wanted to ask you, what is ERDTT?
That's engine run due to temperature. That's what
That's what you were talking about?
Engine run due to temperature, and that is in the Volt. The Volt has an extremely sophisticated and well-engineered thermal management system for its batteries. The batteries run through a completely separate coolant loop. Are you fairly mechanical?
No.
No? The batteries are kept at a very constant temperature, and it's only about a 10-degree swing, and that is in order to prolong the life of the batteries. The batteries on the Volt last a very long time. Like, we don't know how long they last yet, because even the Volts that are out there with 200,000 miles are not looking at battery degradation in any perceptible level. And below 15 degrees, the batteries would draw so much power using electric heat to warm the battery up to its operating temperature that the car just says, screw it, I'm going to turn on this giant heat generator right next to me and burn gas in order to generate heat in order to warm the battery. And when that happens, my normal, if I'm going to my remote office, my normal commute is 16 miles each way, 32 miles. I never burn gas. I'm well within my range. I can go, during the summertime, I can go about 55 miles on my car before the gas generator would kick on. So I would never burn gas. On really cold days, like I'm in Wisconsin, these last several weeks, I burn about 2/10 of a gallon of gas a day.
So people that are
just runs at a very low level.
People that are talking about like overriding this, that's just because they don't like that engine running.
That's because they should have bought a Leaf. That's because they should have bought a Leaf. Those are the people that I'm talking about.
Or an i3.
Bought the wrong car.
Or a BMW. Let's at least mention the BMW i3, which.
Yep. BMW i3 is an awesome car. Just not very pretty.
Maybe you guys know about. They were talking about like on the BMW. I know you guys aren't BMW owners, but there's some kind of hack that they can do to get more efficiency out of it. It's something about, I think, carb. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's not actually a hack. It's a software change that they can do, and I believe that they're done at the dealer where they can switch modes, and have the car run at the motor. The electric motor on a Volt is the equivalent of 140 horsepower. The electric motor on the BMW is the equivalent of 177, I think, in that neighborhood. It's higher, much higher. Just like in a traditional gas car, lower horsepower motors burn less fuel to go the same distance, but they have lower performance. So there is a software change that they can make to the car, and I think it's even switchable in the car on the fly once they install the software change to make the car operate as a lower horsepower vehicle and go farther on a charge, but performance is sacrificed.
Well, one thing that I saw was that somebody said don't do it because that will wipe out your warranty, whatever you call that. Not have the warranty. It was kind of like they were doing it themselves.
Well, and the other thing to know is that for any of these cars, there are online forums where all the drivers go and they compare notes, and some of them are very engineer and techie inclined, and they start hacking their cars right away if they own them. And so you can see what people have done. They offer various mods. If you lease your car, that's a different thing. If you want to maintain the warranty, that's a different thing. But there's the My Nissan Leaf forum for Nissan Leaf owners. There's the Tesla forum. There's an i3 forum. They're all, all your questions could be answered there for sure.
That's for sure. But I want to try to get some of them answered here on, because I'm sure there'll be new people like myself that don't know about this, and they'll be like, "What are they talking about?" Because it's a little different than your regular internal combustion engine. So there are a few things.
It's a lot different.
It's
a lot different.
In the ownership. What about the purchasing? Now, you're in California, Sherry. You're in Wisconsin. Do you walk up and they say, I'd like to buy a Volt, and the salesman's like, yeah, I think we got one back in the alley someplace. That's how I kind of picture this purchasing. Maybe in California it might be different, but if I went down the street here in Oklahoma, and asked about their Nissan Leaf, they'd probably look at me strange.
Well,
So
and
what's the buying experience like?
well, again, I think it varies state to state because not all of these cars are offered in every state. And there is a history, especially with the Volt, of not just the Volt. Honda did this. They all do this. You come in asking for that car, and they will try and steer you to something else. Toyota salespeople, you come in asking about the plug-in Prius, they'll try and sell you a regular Prius. They don't know these cars. They don't want to sell these cars. They don't care
They
about
want
these.
to sell them, they can't service them. They don't get any money after the sale.
That's right. They have no interest.
It's not good for a dealership to sell electric cars. And yes, they do try to steer you into something else. You don't go to a dealership and get sold any electric car. You have to decide in your living room on Google Hangouts or on forums that you're going to buy an electric car, and then you go to the dealership with 0 questions about the car because all of your questions have been previously answered, and you hand them an offer to buy the car for X number of dollars, and they either take it or not. It would be easier if they were in vending machines.
And the only thing easier is that Tesla sells theirs online, and they'll
Yeah,
bring it to you if
right.
need be.
Yeah, Tesla is getting beat down left and right with states coming after them on franchise laws trying to keep them from being able to sell in the state. Why? Because it really affects the dealer network's ability to generate revenue.
Yeah, like in Texas, I have a suggestion for Elon Musk. When they come out with the new Model X, just, send that to Texas, let it take a tour, let it stay in some soccer mom's garage, and then go tell that soccer mom, sorry, you can't buy that here in Texas. That ain't going to work. It's, he shouldn't waste his time.
It's only a matter of time, yeah.
Elon Musk is one of the smartest men on the entire planet.
Yeah.
He'll have this figured out.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of time.
Yeah, we all agree with that. I think it's going to be so popular that, it's. I think one of you guys said it. It's hard to go back to internal combustion engine. It would be like going from high-speed internet, back to dial-up. It's just not going to happen. And I say that these present cars that we have in the future have more in common with your cell phone than it does with the Model T. And I think that when you start thinking that way about the automobile industry, it starts changing the way you think about it.
Agreed.
I wanted to talk to Bangladesh.
Yeah, John. Yeah,
Hey.
I'm living in Bangladesh. Yeah, my name is Moinuddin. Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer, and I'm a very big fan of EV. So I'm trying to say is that yes, it is gaining somewhat popularity in the US, but you guys can push a bit. Like you can once a week or once a month, you can guys hang out with your electric cars in public places and give it a show. Why
What's
don't you
it
check it out so that people can get more awareness and things like that?
Yeah, that definitely.
You guys can, yeah. What
What's
do you
the
say?
awareness there? What is the awareness there in Bangladesh?
Hello. Like awareness, like yes, you can give. In Bangladesh, it's very tough because we don't have the rules and stuff like that. Like we don't have the. Let me tell you something. Like a bank owner in Bangladesh imported 2 Teslas, okay? But in Bangladesh, it's a very expensive car in terms of pricing here. So, but here they don't have the licensing procedure, right? Without the engine, the authorities do not give the licenses. Since Tesla doesn't have any engine, so the guy didn't have any license. So he's riding that car during the nighttime so that the police cannot get him. Okay, it's very funny.
Well, and just so you know, Moinuddin, a Tesla is very expensive here too.
Yeah, of course. But the people here, like the authorities, so dumb. That's why they didn't update the licensing scheme. So that's how things are going here. So I'm saying that, it will change maybe after 1,000 years. We are still living in the 19th century. So anyhow, what I'm saying is that yes, you guys are doing a great thing like a hangout here, but perhaps maybe once a week or once a month you can guys you can guys hang out physically in a public place so that with your EVs and make a public awareness like so that people can have a look on the EVs how they work. Like Jeff told some time back. Like in the EV, there's only 12 moving parts versus 1,400 in combustion ICE vehicles, like combustion vehicles, right? That's what Jeff said.
Yep.
Yeah, I have heard in a news article in CNBC that someone invested in Tesla said that there are 2,000 moving parts in regular combustion engine based vehicles versus there are only 18 in Tesla. So that's why no car companies or no car dealership doesn't want to sell a Tesla or any EVs because there is no after sales service. So that's why they hate Tesla. Yeah. That's why they hate Tesla or any other EVs. So that's where you can guys come out and popularize the EVs to the masses, to the public. That's what you can do, and there are things like range anxiety and stuff like that. And I have an idea, like you can guys throw this idea to the EV companies, like what you have the public charging stations, you have outlets and stuff like that. But how about car-to-car charging, like vehicle-to-vehicle charging? Can that be possible? That's what the manufacturers can do. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree it's a good idea. I think,
but that can be a last resort option, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody is stuck in the street and he can like I'm saying that it's like a power sharing option, like should I say like Uber power sharing, like okay, people are running the streets and somebody stuck with the low power. So that he can broadcast to the other members like, hey guys, I need some power, and if you're coming in the same direction, just drop by and give me some power. Okay, it can be a cool option, right?
It could be. Yeah.
It makes me think of, in major cities they have these trucks going around, repair trucks to help people that are stranded. Well, they're gonna have to put some batteries on there to help maybe somebody that ran out of charge. If they
Mostly with a dead battery, you just tow it. It's called the Hall of Shame.
Well, you can put some, how about roadside changing of batteries?
Well, Tesla's working on that one. They're working on a hot swap for their battery system, but
like car swapping, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, yes. In that case, you have to go to the station, right? Tesla is working on that one somewhere in California, I believe. Yeah. So I'm saying is that yes. Let's push it to some different level, to the next level. Okay, we can have the option like Nissan Leaf to Tesla or Nissan Leaf to Chevy Volt or something like that. Yes, this is the last resort option that they can put the technology in place.
But in the meantime, there are plenty of outlets and chargers out there, at least in this country, that people should feel comfortable driving, especially a plug-in hybrid, but in many situations an all-electric. And I think, people don't always pick the right car for them, but their first experience with it usually sells them on electric. And then they figure out, oh, I don't really need a Volt, or I need something more than a Leaf, or whatever. But getting them in the car that first time and driving it is step one, because it's so much more fun to drive an instant torque electric car than a regular car.
Absolutely right. Yes.
And
that's why That's why I'm asking you guys. Okay, once a week or once a month, just bring all your cars in a public place and show these to the common people, right? Hey guys, this is the EV, and this is so cool, and you're so old school.
And that happens in a lot of U.S. cities. There's another organization called the Electric Auto Association, and they have chapters all over the U.S. and Canada that usually meet once a month, and they'll have some featured car, or people will bring their cars or whatever. And then once a year in September is Drive Electric Week, which is a whole week of events in the U.S. and Canada where drivers bring their cars out, and we're the ones who have to sell this. The car companies don't want to sell it.
Yes,
I wanted to ask.
they don't like the idea, right? Yeah.
I wanted to
Because
ask.
I believe. Mhm.
I wanted to ask what you think of the new Volt, because I think it's going to be very, very popular. Sherry, Jeff, what do you think?
I don't like it myself.
The looks of it, or
I I like that my Volt looks like nothing else. And in my opinion, the new Volt looks like a Honda Civic. You're at a hit and run scene. Some lady getting her groceries out of her car is going to tell the officer it was a blue Honda Civic, I think. It's just, to me, it looks like every other car, and I rather like that my car doesn't look like every other car. The functionality of it, I don't think they did enough to justify calling it Volt 2.0. They just updated the body and they put in the fifth seat. Some minor updates to battery. I was hoping for more, but if I were to total my car today, I would go buy a 2015, and that would be what I would drive for the next 10 years. I would not wait for the 2016.
all right.
Yeah.
Sherry, what do you think?
Well, everyone has different tastes. The 2016 will probably appeal to some people and not others. I'm glad it has a sort of bench back seat, because that's what I would need in a car. The bucket seats. I mean, that's why I didn't get a Volt, even though I wrote the book Plug-in Hybrid. That bucket seats in the back didn't work for me. It's not really a bench back seat, but but basically what we need is options. I mean, great, Volt 2.0 or Pseudo 2.0, great. What we need is more options. Why isn't GM making another kind of plug-in car? Why isn't Nissan making something other than the Leaf? People have different needs for different sizes and shapes of cars, and there's no reason we couldn't be making more than that. So that's where I'm most disappointed, because one car doesn't suit everybody.
The price of used Volts too. I want I've got two grown sons, and they love my car, and I really, really want them to get out there and buy one of these $15,000 Volts that has 40,000 miles on it.
Yes.
To me, that's the deal of a century.
Yeah.
These electric motors, they just don't wear out. The big questions that are still pending are, how long do the computers last, and how long does that battery last? And the battery is just not showing any signs of having any significant degradation whatsoever. And the computers they're just computers. So to me, the $15,000 3-year-old Volts with 40,000 miles on them are the deal of a lifetime as far as an automobile is concerned. And that would be another one that would be hard for me to pass up. But I like the 2.0. I do. It's a nice car. It's unusual for somebody to like a car that doesn't look like everything else, which is why they make all of the cars look like everything else. That's normal. So I think you were right with what you said at the very beginning, that it's going to have incredible mass appeal. I agree. It looks like a normal car. It looks like something that I don't have to walk up to and say, ooh, I don't know what to do with it.
I think there's a good chance that the car dealership will put that up in front. When you walk in, there's going to be the new Volt. I think there's a good chance of that. At least for the car dealership, it's not all electric. There are some more parts that will break, and so they can maybe make some money off of it. I don't know.
I hope you're right. I think they don't know the car, and what they don't know, they don't sell well, the dealers. So I hope you're right. I mean, the other thing about the used ones, too, I think this past year and maybe this year, a lot of the Volts that were in rental fleets are now, off lease or off fleets. And so those are coming available. And like Jeff said, I think they're a steal.
Yep. What else do you want to know?
I was wondering if we have Andrea there. He was
I'm
there
here.
for a second. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up here, but I know what do you have? I don't remember.
I have a 2012 Volt. I purchased mine used and I absolutely love the car. I got interested in alternative fuel vehicles when Chevy was talking about the I guess they had the Chevy Traverse or something that they were talking about, hydrogen model thing they were testing in New York City, and then right on the heels of that, they started pumping the Volt, and just fell in love with it. When they had the Super Bowl commercial, I said, man, one of these days I'm gonna get me one of those, and it timed up perfect where my Lincoln LS fell apart, and for my 40th birthday, I drove on there a lot, and the guy had one used, and he gave me a great deal on it. So, but it's been great. Had I think 17,000 miles on it when I picked it up, and I started the tachometer when I left the dealership, and I think I put like 18,000 miles on it. And we take it beyond the city limits at times, but I've only used 80 gallons of fuel. So I'm thankful for the gas tank, because there are times when I drive back and forth in the city from Atlanta, and I'm about 35 miles out, and I'm right on the edge of getting back home on a full charge round trip, having charged down there, and the gas just kicks on. I make it to the house instead of like having a leaf or something where I'm stressed out. Plus the Volt just looks super cool, man. I love it. I love it.
Well, David, you got something to say? Hold on, I think you're muted.
Well, I mean, the only problems I have with the cars are the ways they're repaired.
Hold on. It might be a good idea that you tell people, what you do. He works in a body shop. He repairs cars.
Right. So, I mean, I work on cars all the time, and I've had a boatload of Volts come in, and a few of them have actually died in the shop, and we had to call the customer, hey, can you bring us your your box and your cable so we can plug it in? And I mean, that's one thing, but
back up. It ran out of battery and ran out of gas in the shop?
It ran out of battery, and the battery for the physical car died. Oh. We had a door off. It's just a common thing in cars.
Yeah, batteries die in lots of cars. Got it. Yeah. The starting battery. The 12-volt.
Yeah, when it actually happens, you can't. It's really complicated to get stuff to work again. I mean, there's like a lot of steps and procedures, and we had a Volt come in, and we had to work on the front end of it. Well, yeah, it's a great car. We did a really substantial amount of work to the vehicle, and just to put it back together, we had to actually have it towed to Chevy for them to service it, because, quote unquote, we weren't allowed to touch the electrical motor. So, I mean, it's great for the environment and everything like that, but and you talk about how it doesn't need service, but they still make money, because, I mean, legally body shops can't even touch the batteries.
What about aluminum? Is aluminum bodies more and more popular? Is it a pain?
It's impossible to replace properly. 93% of body shops can't even do aluminum. Like the new Ford F-150, if one were to come into our shop, or one came into any shop even around our area.
And David's in Chicago.
What was that?
I was just saying you're in Naperville, to let people know.
Yeah, I live up by Chicago, so like the Chevy dealership has 90 Volts in the front parking lot, and the Nissan dealership has an amazing amount of Leafs, and I mean, that's the only place that has a Tesla store in a mall. So, I mean...
Yeah, we have one here in Atlanta, too.
Yeah, I mean, so they're trying to push it up here more, but, I mean, we have a lot of pollution and everything like that in our area anyway, but, what was I saying before you...
You guys, I'm sorry to cut in, but I gotta go. So, nice chatting.
John, have you got anything else that you need me to cover before I fly?
How about taxes? The refund, are we still getting refunds? Or
if you have more than $7,500 in tax liability, buying a Volt reduces your tax liability by up to $7,500.
Hi.
So not everybody gets $7,500 off their Volt because they didn't have $7,500 worth of tax liability. But if you have more than $7,500 tax liability, the federal government credits you back the taxes that you paid, your money. They give you your money back for the car, for buying the car, new. If you buy it used, you don't get it back.
Yeah, I've heard on Facebook chats that there's some people questioning that, but the advice that they got from other people was get a better tax preparer. So
right. I use a CPA, and I had it all figured out. He had it all figured out in advance. What forms were going to be filed. It was seamless for me. It was piece of cake. Money showed up, no issues.
No, that's about all I have for now. I'll just go down to everybody and see if you got something else to say. Andre, it is Andre, right?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, appreciate you having us on this deal. The EV market is exploding here in Atlanta. It's kind of weird because of the leaf population and having the tax write-off. You get the $7,500 plus another $5 from the state when it's 100% electric. So the leaf drivers, those things are all over the place. But there's a great number of Volts. There's a ton of Teslas around in certain pockets of the the people that's got the extra change in the pockets, so to speak. But the EV market here is sweet, man. Infrastructure is coming up all over, and that's the big thing is continuing to lobby your local, wherever you live, in your local city, your local village, your local county. If they put up a new movie theater or park, try and get to the decision maker of, hey, can you put some charging stations around so that it'll become more easy, accessible to charge, out in the wild, so to speak. The Atlanta Falcons are big on this. They have a couple of charging stations downtown, and I'm sure the new stadium they built, they got coming on board in 2017 to have one there. So it's going in the right direction.
Thank you. David, are you still muted? Looks like you're still muted.
Yeah, what I was saying about aluminum though is it's 93% of body shops in our area can't even touch them because we can't repair them properly. So going lightweight's awesome, but I think there's other things that they need to do to make everything. I can only imagine if they started putting aluminum on a Volt. Chevy's already announced putting magnesium on an Impala just to make it lighter. So
what about carbon fiber like the BMW i3 has?
Carbon fiber has really stepped up its game. Chevy actually has a contract with a company in Tokyo, makes it really light. It's going to be the lightest carbon fiber out there, just as light as aluminum or magnesium. So that's probably going to change the game, and I know that Chevy was talking about putting the new carbon fiber on their Volt and the hybrid Tahoe that they had. So we'll have to see what that happens. But other than that, that's about all I got.
Cool. Jeff, you got anything else?
The aluminum's coming. With Volts, they are very difficult for body shops to fix. But from an ownership standpoint, I don't care. That's a collision situation, and collision situations aren't my problem. Yeah. They're the insurance company's problem. So I don't worry about that. And aluminum is a big deal. It's a big deal on Ford F-150s. It's a big deal on Volts. It's a big deal on Audis. There's a lot of cars out there where you can't fix the sheet metal. You can't do metal work on them anymore. All you can do is replace panels. So that's not exclusive to electric cars by any stretch. And I don't own the problem when I get into a collision because I have insurance for that. That's the ownership experience doesn't change with the idea that Volts are much harder to fix, Leafs are much harder to fix. You're totally right. Absolutely 100% correct. They are much harder to fix. But it doesn't change the ownership experience at all.
All right. Thanks.
You bet. Be good.
Yeah, thank you. Moedin, what you got to say? Oh, you're muted. Hold on. You're muted. We're not hearing you. Sean, you're muted too.
Hey, John, I guess I'm going to sneak off, man. Just give me a call or Facebook me again when we're doing this again. This is cool.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do it every Wednesday. You know,
Every Wednesday?
yeah, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Sometimes I'll have solar panel,
Okay.
type people on,
Sure.
some installers, but it's either going to be electric vehicles or solar installers.
All right. Well, this is good, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey,
Yeah, you're muted there. And Sean, you're muted. You got something else to say?
I guess not really now that everyone's gone. I was just hearing Jeff talk about how computers are computers, but I work with computers, and I know that a computer has a 5-year lifespan, and then things start to break. It's not just hard drives or connections that happen. It's the materials in the chips that start to break down, and with electricity over time. And to go with what Jeff and Sherry were both saying about range and charge time and things like that, I think that's still going to be a big holdback on people really getting into pure electric vehicles, is the fact that battery technology has hit kind of a standstill. Lithium ion is kind of top of the game right now, and she was saying it takes 4 to 5 hours for her to get 80%. And then even with the quick chargers, it's still 25-30 minutes, whereas a gas station, you pull up, it's a 3-minute thing and you're gone. So I think until batteries and charge technology get to another level, it's not going to fully catch on.
All right, I got 2 things for you, Sean.
Yeah.
One, have you looked at the Porsche 918? That's a hybrid. I don't call them hybrid. I call them twin motors. It's pretty damn cool. And 2, don't you think that people kind of want their cars to be as smart as their smartphone?
I think that's coming anyway. I mean, with all of these newer vehicles that are coming out, there are applications that tie your phone and a car together anyway. It doesn't matter if it's an electric vehicle or a gas vehicle. Apple, Apple is trying to get into the car building industry. I don't think it's because they want to build a car. I think it's because they want to understand what happens with it better, so that they can design, a computer system into it. So I don't know that electric versus, combustion is going to be a big thing with the technology going forward. To me, it seems like the electricity and the battery and the charging is what's holding electric vehicles back. And it's not, not a bad thing, but it's just because it hasn't been around enough, it doesn't have the pedigree, so to say.
Yeah, no, I think it will be, though. It's
but
the future.
I think that it'll take longer. Like Sherry was saying, the automotive industries are going to fight it still. And it's not going to be helped, with as much money as is made out of oil, not only in our country but in other countries. There's going to be some resistance from politicians who have made a lot of money off of it. So.
Yeah, I think the resistance will slow when everybody wants it. When they see that a hybrid electric vehicle with solar panels is just better. And I think a lot of people will like not only the green aspect of it, but the fact that we don't have to buy our oil from people that don't like us in the Middle East, and will just give us a lot more freedom.
Right. I did. I watched Top Gear a lot, the British version, not the American one. And they did the i8. They had the i8 on there just a little while ago. He was like, "This car is awesome. It is so fast. It's fun in the corners." And then he hit the downside where he had to go and charge, and he's like, "Well, let me go get a hotel for a few hours while I wait." So.
All right, Mohideen. I think
yeah,
you're
I
unmuted.
was saying that. Yeah. Hello. Am I muted right now?
No, we can hear you. You're good.
Okay, I'm saying that yes. I have a question for you guys. Do you guys run your EVs purely on solar panels? Any of you?
No, none of us do. I don't know. We just had Chris join us.
Uh-huh.
But no, well, none of us
Okay.
have.
Okay, perhaps yes. Okay. We can have a discussion maybe next week about how that can be implemented, how that can be vastly implemented. Like everybody should be aware of this. I guess if people install solar panels on their roof, so that they don't have to, they don't have any carbon footprint, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, that's what really got me started on this. I saw that people were doing that, and it just made sense to me. It's a lot of freedom and never have to go to the gas station again. So we're getting ready to finish up here. Chris, are you there? Do you have something to say?
I don't know if you saw, he doesn't have a microphone, so he's having to type in the chat.
That won't work. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, Chris. But so we're going to finish up here. And another thing that I've been saying is that if we go electric, we go solar panels, it just makes for a better world. And it helps the whole world. Even like in poor countries like Bangladesh, a better world is coming for everybody.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Sean and David, that's a solar light right there that these kids are learning.
Figured it out.
All right, guys.
All right, well, see you guys later.
All right, bye now.
Yeah, talk to you later. Bye.